Good day, viewers. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the news today. Please feel free to share what you think and feel. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Matsepo, good morning to the members of the media for having honored this invitation. Beyond our CFO, acting CFO, Lucian Kent, we also have a few Deputy Directors General who are amongst us, who will also be fielding some questions this morning. The destruction and violence that have engulfed the University of Fort Hare in recent days are deeply tragic. A university should be a space of learning, hope and progress, not one of fear and destruction. The burning of buildings, the total number now at 7, and the estimated cost at anything between 300 and 500 million, subject to expert confirmations. But also the intimidation of staff, of students, and the disruption of teaching and learning cannot end, will never be justified. What has happened at Fort Hare is not protest, it is criminal. It destroys opportunity, it erodes confidence, but it also undermines the dreams of thousands of young people who look to education as their only chance for a better life. We are working closely with the South African Police Services, the Eastern Cape government, and the university security teams to restore calm and protect students and staff. I commend the Premier and also the University Council for their prompt response and their teams for their swift efforts to stabilize the situation. Our immense priority is to ensure that the academic program resumes within the next week. In a productive meeting with the University Council yesterday, and I had a productive meeting with the University Council, and I've directed the University Council and management to put in place all necessary measures to reopen the institution and allow teaching and learning to continue, including temporary online modalities where required. Students must be able to complete their studies in peace and also in safety. That is a non-negotiable. The university must ensure that the academic year is not put in any further jeopardy. Beyond the immediate crisis, I've also asked the University Council to reflect deeply on a number of critical issues when they meet tomorrow, including the state of governance and leadership, the role and status of the SRC, the institutional culture of the university, the concerns raised about the Vice-Chancellor's contract, and the insourcing of workers, which are some of the issues that are believed to have triggered protest at the university. In the coming week, I will respond in greater detail to the feedback received from the ministerial team led by Professor Ahmed Bauer, which has been engaging students, staff, and other stakeholders over the last several days. Their work is central to shaping the next phase of our intervention. For now, I call on all members of the Fort Hare community to act with restraint, to reject violence, and to protect the future of these historic institutions. We cannot rebuild the University of Fort Hare with bricks and budget alone. And I'm quite excited by the fact that many in our community, some of them alumni of the University of Fort Hare, have extended a helping hand in ensuring that we restore integrity, we show compassion, but also a shared commitment to its founding purposes, the advancement of knowledge and the liberation of the human spirit. We must remember that the situation at Fort Hare is also not a new matter. Over the past few years, the University of Fort Hare has been plagued by cycles of violent episodes on campus, notwithstanding the stakeholders' engagements held for some time through the department, the portfolio committee, the South African Police Services. Violent responses still persist, and we have to end this. We also have to emphasize that we are aware of persisting violence throughout the PSET system, which is a reflection also of the state of our society. So what happens outside campus is sometimes projected internally within our institution. For instance, at the University of Free State, where I had this morning a very long call with the Vice Chancellor, and students have been protest in both their Bloemfontein and Qwaqwa campus, and about 17 students have been arrested. Part of that number includes 2 of them who were arrested last night for having attempted to throw a petrol bomb in a cubicle that houses security. Now this is criminality. Even if these people are students, they are basically unleashing crime. And I think in both instances, both at the University of Fort Hare and at the University of Free State, we need to make that distinction between people who are students who are, and also people who are criminals, and criminals who are also in the process endangering the life of other students and also of students. But we have to approach this in a very systemic way, and that's why we will be accelerating our engagement internally, so that we fix the system internally in order to ensure that we don't keep students being vulnerable, but also our engagement with the South African Police Service on ways and means within which we can restore order where there is necessary. But securitization and security responses alone will not be enough. We have to deal with some of the issues that have resulted in protest in some of the institutions, but also that some of the violence is not even related to protest, but it's related to the fact that institutions are being seen as business enterprises. For infrastructure, for tenders around services, accommodation, and so on and so forth. And so some of this violence is related to that. And so we have to make sure that universities and institutions within the post-school education and training sector return to what they've been established for, become places of learning and teaching, and not what we have seen in the most recent days. Through the departments, let me proceed to our annual report. Through the departments tabled 2024-2025 annual report in Parliament, we reflect on the broader state of our higher education and training system. This report marks not only the conclusion of a financial year, but also the end of the 6th administration. It therefore carries dual significance. It accounts for our performance over the past year and signals the direction of our transition into the next reporting cycle. In this new phase, our task is clear. We build a fit-for-purpose department that drives an integrated, accountable, and effective post-school education and training system. The department functions primarily as a policy and oversight authority, executing its mandate through a network of institutions and entities. Our responsibilities include developing legislation and policy, providing funding, facilitating partnerships, overseeing infrastructure expansion, and conducting monitoring and evaluation. And we have to perform each of these functions as good as possible if we were to have an impact on the lives, especially of students, young people, workers, and so on and so forth. We must remember that the PSET system remains functional. Universities produce about 220,000 graduates annually. The public universities have more than 1 million students, in fact 1.1 million students to be specific, and together with private higher education institutions, this figure is approximately 1.3 million. TVET sector is about 520,000 students, and approximately 20,000 artisans are produced by the system annually. Irregular expenditure was reduced from 243 million to 175 million. Yes, it may seem as though 175 million is still a lot, but I think the fact that in that year we have reduced expenditure to that extent means that it is something we have to acknowledge. Fruitful and wasteful expenditure was reduced from 113 million to 87 million rand. On sector education and training authorities, which were allocated a budget of 2.3 billion, 39% received unqualified audit without any findings, 25% unqualified with findings, and 93% of SETA submitted financial statements timely. It was important from the report by the Auditor General that some of the SETAs whom we've taken action against in the recent month found themselves dominating the report of the Auditor General of South Africa, ranging from a whole range of financial mismanagement. And in fact, two of those SETAs had even went on to take the Auditor General of South Africa to court to challenge the findings. But beyond these performance indicators, which are an important reflection of how the system is performing, we must also say that there has been significant transformation in terms of procurement, with 82% or close to 82% of spend directed to black-owned businesses, which is beyond a target of 70% that we had set ourselves, 49% to women-owned, 30.6% to youth-owned, and 57.3% to small, medium, micro enterprises, and the target was 30%. Yes, we will have to look deeper in terms of our performance for businesses that are owned by people who are marginalized or with disabilities and so on and so forth, but we think that in the overall, our department has done well in terms of economic empowerment. In terms of financial discipline, about 136.7 billion spent and a 99% expenditure rate. We have received an unqualified audit opinion with findings and the University Education Program, which represents over 80% of our budget, achieved an unqualified outcome, which demonstrates fiscal stability and also control. During this financial year, the department planned 94 performance targets and achieved 46, which is a 49% achievement rate. Yes, this has to be further unpacked, but also this story has to be changed with time. This outcome is obviously, as we say, concerning, particularly in the final year of the 2019-2024 medium-term strategic framework. It calls for a comprehensive review of our implementation strategy and operational design to identify the root causes of our underperformance and correct them decisively. The AG made several observations that must now guide our reform agenda. The AG cautioned against the removal of key performance indicators that capture strategic impact and found that the department has not implemented adequate internal controls to safeguard the integrity of reported achievement. Yes, we have this number of students, for instance, in the TVET sector, but if we cannot concretely account for those students, that obviously brings a mockery in terms of our performance numbers as it relates to them. Those are some of the things that we need to change. So we're going to strengthen oversight in terms of the finding. We're going to strengthen leadership and accountability within the system to ensure that beyond the Director General, everyone within the system is able to take cognizance of their role in ensuring that we meet the expectations, the financial expectations as stipulated in the PFMA and various other legislation. Our response, obviously given all of these challenges, is that we have to respond decisively, and this includes initiating comprehensive internal control improvement plan that will strengthen data integrity and performance monitoring. And I think the instructive part is around filling up vacancies in the department, with some people having acted for more than 2, some to 3 years, that we are fixing that to make sure that the right people are in the right position so that they're able to do what is expected, and also to improve the capability of the department to deliver. And in fact, we have an ambitious plan of ensuring that we fill up all the more than 600 vacancies that are there in the department by the end of the first quarter of 2026. We've also begun redefining performance indicators, which is a concern the AG has raised, and the technical indicator descriptions to ensure that there is precision and alignment in terms of our outcomes. It has to be clear what the role of a department and its various entities. And in fact, I think the one department with the most entities compared to any other department in government. So we have to make sure that all of those perform, but also we have to make sure that we become clear and descriptive in terms of how we support all of these entities. Some of the recommendations from our DG and DDGs includes programs around building capacity of managers where there are issues around audit, but also to enhance the oversight and performance monitoring unit to verify evidence before submission. As the department, the department is aware that much is yet to be done, and though not exhaustive, we developed an implementation plan to fill up vacant posts, as I said, and to improve our dated and compromising system, but also to sharpen our oversight role on PSET entities. 2 months ago, I outlined 5 strategic pillars for turning around the sector, which included economic renewal, a green, just transition, building public sector capacity, research and innovation, and also social inclusion. The annual report confirms that aligning the department's work to these pillars is the right course. In the year ahead, we will intensify efforts to build an integrated, functional and accountable PSET system, not through fragmented interventions, but through structural alignment, capable leadership, and a culture of performance integrity. And our priorities will be to ensure that we build a fit-for-purpose department and improve on some of the areas where we've been doing quite well in order to meet the needs and expectations of the sector. We have to strengthen governance. We also have to ensure the accuracy of our data and credible evidence, but also non-negotiable accountability. Finally, we have to protect public funds at all costs and ensure that we enforce consequences where wrongdoing occurs. And I think the AG did not mince their words when they instructed where consequences have to be managed to show that we're serious about correcting some of the anomalies that we have identified. Our PSET system must inspire confidence among students, staff, partners, and importantly, the public. Through transparent reporting, ethical leadership, and measurable delivery, we will rebuild trust and ensure that higher education and training remains a cornerstone of South Africa's transformation development. The future of our nation depends on it. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Minister. Are there any questions in the room to the Minister's statement? No questions? Okay. There's a question there. Please introduce yourself and the media house you represent.
Minister, so every time we have these briefings from the departments, the people involved, the principals involved mention all of these things that need to be done, the shortcomings, etc. But when we ask them, is the department failing them? Because you list a lot of things that are affecting a very important sector. You mentioned that you have the most entities in government and that sort of thing, and you see what's playing out at Fort Hare because of the issues that are there. But I'm going to ask anyway, it feels a lot like the department, and obviously you've just come in, but you've been there as well. It feels a lot like the department is failing. Can we read it as that? Because you name a lot of concerning things and a lot of systemic things that have been happening that needs to be changed. And then just in the filling of the more than 600 vacancies, what is the staff complement in general, just to know what the 600 is being compared against? And then can I come back to more questions?
Okay, let's take other hands. Are there any? Okay, no other questions? Okay, maybe online. Are there any questions online? Nothing online. Okay, Minister.
Okay. So one of the first things that we did, and we had the press conference here on the I think 19 days into office, and we said that the first thing that we have to do is to fix the department, and and from there the AG's report confirmed that that there are challenges in the department, the major challenge is not even that you don't have the right people in place, it's that you don't have people in place. And I think the report that the initial report that we received from the administration, one person next to you is our DDG Corporate Services. She'll tell you how much of a big fight we've had with her and all the DDGs around the vacancy rate, which is anything around 40% at this rate. And this is we have, what's the total staff component? I think we yeah.
Thank you, Minister. Our staff complement is 30,708.
Yeah. So but these are positions that are crucial for the system to work. I mean, it's positions that include government information officer. It's which has been vacant for quite some time, which we have put measures in place to fill that up, in order to ensure that the systems integration. We need to know what's happening at our universities, at our TVET colleges, with NSFAS, with our CETAs, and there's so you need to coordinate, and if you cannot coordinate that at a centralized level, which is at higher education department, then you're going to fail. And so those are some of the priorities that we've put into place. I've never spoken to you about this before, so I hope this forms a baseline within which me and you can assess each other over time as to whether are we getting the leadership in the department to act. And I'm very confident that we are going to succeed. I think the other challenge has been that we've had an acting CFO for some time. It's not out of failure to recruit. We've tried that, but we're much more determined now, to make sure that we fill that post. But even with an acting CFO, we're submitting our financials on time. There's a huge improvement, for instance, with performance of TVET colleges. I think now the numbers has increased from 5 to about 12, which has clean audits. The same applies with our CETAs. There have been some improvements. So yes, there are, so even though there are certain things that we need to fix within the department, various components of the system have been, on overdrive. And I think once we fix some of the challenges in the department, and also once we acknowledge some of the good work, that has been done by the officials in the department, and embrace those and acknowledge those, I think we will be, moving towards the right direction. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, please.
Zola Sholana from Newsroom Africa. I've got two questions for the Minister. I'm not sure. Okay, firstly, I would like to understand who is leading the investigation into the current incident that we saw at Forte, and also how far has it progressed, right? And I'd also want to, understanding that some of the students, from what we've seen, on TV have been complaining about the current Vice Chancellor at the school. I'd like to know from the Minister, are you confident in the current leadership of the university?
Thank you. You would like to take another bite? Please go ahead.
Again from ENC. Maybe also just on the 48, what is the status of the Vice Chancellor's future? Can we get clarity on that? Because there are reports that the VC has signed a contract extension, but I think the university said that's not true. So just clarity on what's happening there. And then just back to the issues around the governance and the leadership. How costly has it been to have governance that maybe, or people in charge that maybe are not the ideal candidates? And also, can we get an update on the filling of the university council that people on that? Because I believe that there might be, not all positions might be filled. And again, just how costly it has been to not have all the universities with all the councils filled.
Okay. Any other questions before I invite Minister to respond? Okay.
Okay. So, with regards to Fort Hare, who's investigating? South African Police Services. I had a lengthy discussion with the MEC of police and also with the Premier of the province. And government has been government at the provincial level has been in contact with the university. The Vice Chancellor, with his management, have had intense and constant engagement with the police. And it's quite unfortunate that even with the presence of police, we had 7 buildings being scorched. So police are investigating that. But in general, I think we need to, as I said, have a discussion as a sector around whether have we lost confidence in some of the conflict resolutions mechanisms that are in place, or is it generally a reflection of failure in terms of governance? This matter, I don't know how many times the university and student leadership had to rush to court to find a conclusion on some of the points. I mean, the SRC president and some of the student leaders up to about 2 a.m. this morning, were calling me about because they've secured a legal judgment. And when you go everywhere else in the sector, we seem to have outsourced our conflict resolutions mechanism to the courts, in the CETAs, in colleges, and so on and so forth. So that's a question we need to ask ourselves as to, shouldn't we relook at how we intend to resolve conflict? And I think that's a priority area. So even if we bring in police and everybody else, if students are, in distress, if university management rely on security to resolve conflict, we're not going to resolve, anything. We're going to see all of these things, happening. And I must say that in many instances, university leaders, and in this case I include not just vice chancellors, students, union leaders, and so on and so forth, have shown a greater level of cooperation in resolving conflict, except in some of these, specific areas that we've mentioned. Yes, the first thing that I was one of the first few things I was inundated with was the Fort Hare stakeholders writing letters about not just the condition on campus, but also their concerns about, their confidence on the Vice Chancellor. We have sent teams twice as the department to the university to investigate. On Tuesday, after some few days when we've been trying to meet, we were supposed to meet, and unfortunately we couldn't with the university council. But the point is that the university council employs vice chancellors, and they have to be the ones that response to the concerns that you know, the stakeholders within campus you know, have about the vice chancellors. This morning I wrote to the chair of the council subsequent to our meeting yesterday, and one of the things that I asked them to reflect on, as I say in the statement, is the fact that concerns have been raised you know, by almost everyone on campus around the vice chancellor and generally governance issues on campus, and that it is probably something that they have to reflect on as council as to how are they going to take all stakeholders along if they want to move forward. The future of the vice chancellor, that's up to the university council, but as I said, I've asked them to respond to specific issues and allegations relating to and they have responded to those, and I'm looking at their responses, and in the course of the week we will you know, give them you know, a much more fuller response to their report. We have filled almost all of the council vacancies that were there. If there are any, I think it would be one or two of those, and also it would be because of this or that you know, administrative glitch and so on. But you know, our objective was to fill up all of those because they were, yes, affecting governance. If you don't have a university council in place, it means that you can't take decisions to appoint a vice chancellor or you know, any of those other important decisions that university councils have the responsibility to do so. And that's why this was one of the agent measures, not only just councils at universities, but also at TVET colleges, and similarly with our sector education and training authorities, CETAs, who have acted swiftly to ensure that we restore governance. Governance is important, and I think the collapse of governance is you know, what has led to some of the challenges in some of our institutions. I have indicated to chairpersons of university councils, of TVET college councils, also chairpersons, incoming chairpersons of sector education and training authorities, and chairs of various of our entities, that I'd like to see them play an important role, because they steer the governance, the overall governance you know, component of our institutions. And I'm going to be having more conversations with them, because you know, the failure or success of our institutions lies with how successful they are able to maintain oversight and also provide strategic leadership to the institutions that they lead. You know, so this is obviously going to be one of you know, our major priorities. Thank you. I hope that responds to the questions.
Any other questions, please? Okay. Questions online.
Thank you, Matsel. There's only one question from John Ololiana, but the question is it's partly answered on the issues of the Vice Chancellor, but I will just take a liberty of presenting the whole question, and it reads as follows. Can the Minister clarify if indeed the Vice Chancellor contract was extended until 2027, amid reports that it was done secretly? And in Minister's opinion, who does this atrocious act ultimately benefit? Thanks.
Any other question in the room?
Oh, please.
Oh, yes, the NCA.
I'm sorry, just maybe my the final round, maybe just on the VC again. Should the VC go, given the unhappiness around him, and then again on the council and the leadership, in terms of the criteria, are we satisfied with the criteria used to nominate him to bring in the council members?
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many times I can say this, but I'm going to say it as many times as possible, because I think it's also an opportunity for us to get to understand what are the intricacies of what's involved. employment between the university and the Vice Chancellor is governed by the university statute and is determined, or the terms and conditions of that employment is entered between the University Council and the said Vice Chancellor. And I think it's up to the University Council as to what happens to a Vice Chancellor, not according to a minister. If I were to be given that powers for 26 universities, imagine what would happen. And so those councils are responsible according to the university statute. I had a discussion yesterday, as I said, with the University Council of Fort Hare, and I've expressed to them that consistently the teams from the department have heard from the different stakeholders around their concerns, around generally issues of governance in the institutions, including, but not limited to the role of the Vice Chancellor. And I've asked them to reflect on that, and as part of their discussions on what should happen with the academic year, concluding the academic year 2025, they also have to devise a strategy on how they're going to take everyone along, including the Vice Chancellor, in that conflicting situation. I will later in the week give them a response on the report that they gave me, but not just on what they gave me. We had a task team that went in there. In fact, not just this week, but over time. Some of it raised from concerns from Parliament, and so on and so forth. So it will be on the basis of that response that we will indicate what we believe should be the way forward. Yes, the council is finally responsible, and I think if I've had anything from them yesterday, they would be committed to give us a report on what their plan of action would be after their meeting tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you, Minister. I think there are no more questions in the room, so we can adjourn the media briefing. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. There are refreshments. Please make sure that we don't have fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Thank you.